12-year-old Mutebi is at the clinic after his elder brother tested positive for TB. Mutebi has swollen lymph glands and a chronic cough which has not responded to antibiotics. A chest X-ray is suggestive of TB, but laboratory tests to look for TB in his sputum and blood are negative. And he does not seem seriously unwell. It's a common scenario showing the challenges of diagnosing TB in children.
There isn't a single diagnostic test which has good accuracy. So you can't take blood and send it to a lab and get a yes-no answer. And so really when you diagnose TB in children, we often look at it as putting together pieces of a puzzle. Most children with TB will be diagnosed based just on their clinical symptoms, the fact that maybe there's an adult or an older child with TB in the house, and their X-ray features.
Mutebi, now back at home, he has a twin who has exactly the same symptoms. Both children are diagnosed with non-severe TB. At the time of diagnosis, the treatment guidelines are for 6 months of daily medicines, no matter how severe their illness. For their mother, who is the breadwinner, this is difficult.
It is a lot of medicines that the boys have been given. They cannot go to school, so I need to stay at home too and not go out to work. But I still need to pay the rent.
So given their mild symptoms, do the twins really need treatment for this long? Or would 4 months be enough?
This question has not been asked in children, whether we can actually reduce the treatment from 6 months to 4 months.
If you think that there is more than 1 million of children falling ill with TB every year, and 2/3 of them have non-severe smear-negative TB.
And the treatment for children with TB is long, 6 months, making it very difficult to complete the whole course.
These kids potentially can benefit from shorter treatment.
The SHINE trial was designed to find out if 4 months of treatment is as effective as 6 for children with non-severe disease. The trial was carried out in 4 countries, in all of which shorter treatment would bring considerable advantages.
Patients will definitely benefit in their families because they don't need to go back to medical health centers.
It would reduce the exposure of the pediatric patients to drugs which are also known to be hepatotoxic, and hematological side effects are known.
It's pretty challenging to give children treatment for 6 months.
For parents, it's very challenging to manage the pill burden, motivating the kids to be able to complete the full duration of treatment.
But if you target it for shorter duration, the compliance is known to be better.
And health system would benefit because of obvious cost savings.
They can use those resources required for 2 additional months for something else.
In the trial, more than 1,200 children from 2 to 15 years old with non-severe TB were divided randomly into 2 groups. One received 4 months of treatment, the other 6. Children were followed for 72 weeks after enrollment to check whether TB treatment had been successful. The results were very clear.
SHINE trial clearly showed that 4 months is as good as 6 months. And therefore, this 2/3 of children are falling ill with TB every year could be treated with shorter treatment.
The SHINE results are truly a game changer for pediatric TB. And to be able to shorten treatment by 50% is truly phenomenal. And using existing tools, existing medicines, existing formulations at the routine doses, and using the available routinely used diagnostic tools. So nothing new needed, simply actually shortening the duration of treatment with what we have.
4 months of treatment is better because it is not good for a child to be taking tablets for a long period of time.
When it is long, they usually get tired of it.
At first, I was not happy that my child had TB and that it takes 6 months to treat them. So it was much better to have 4 months, and my child recovered well.
It was convenient also for me as a parent because I must work every day.
Following the SHINE results, WHO guidelines are changing to recommend 4 months of treatment for non-severe TB and 6 months for more severe cases. So in future, children like the twins should get shorter treatment. But how easy will it be to implement this in rural Africa and India?
To be honest, it won't be easy because the diagnosis of TB in children is difficult, even severe disease, mild disease. So it will require some advocacy from the Ministry of Health, from WHO, that people are trained and sensitized about tuberculosis in children.
In other words, the biggest challenge is not so much distinguishing between mild and severe TB, but rather recognizing that children have TB in the first place. It's a change that is urgently needed anyway, as the human cost of late diagnosis is very high.
Okay, so you can sit, but it's breathing quite fast, so definitely something is happening in the chest.
5-year-old Christian was admitted to hospital 5 days ago, diagnosed with severe TB. He is badly underweight and still struggling to breathe after 5 days on treatment. He was diagnosed very late.
My boy has been having on and off cough for the last 3 years and would go to other hospitals and he would be diagnosed with much bacterial infections. So would be given treatment, then he gets better, like maybe for a short while, maybe 2 weeks. Then again he's again sick. Some doctors would say he has allergic cough, that it will clear when he makes like maybe 5 to 6 years. The last 1 month, this cough now became too much. The boy was not breathing well, and on top of that, he was coughing very yellow things, too much of it. Based on the way we've been moving up and down, why were the other doctors not telling us that the boy had TB?
Christian's story is extremely common.
Children are often presenting with mild disease and they're missed by the healthcare workers. So by the time the child is actually diagnosed, they're so sick, they're malnourished, they've really got severe disease, they're coughing, and sometimes even coughing blood, and their lungs may even be damaged.
Some health workers were surprised that we were treating children for TB. And in fact, they were asking us, these children who seemingly well, and they seem to be playing here, do they have TB? And when we could tell them that some of these children actually have confirmed TB, and a number of health workers had their perception completely changed, away from the picture of the wasted child with TB to the fact that actually a child can be relatively well with a few symptoms, but actually has TB.
The SHINE trial showed that diagnosing TB can be improved dramatically, including in lower-level health facilities, through training and community education. It also gathered a mass of data about diagnosis.
Because we've got such a wealth of information from the trial, we are using that to try and actually help inform the best ways of diagnosing TB in children. Because most children who die of TB die undiagnosed and untreated.
We know that probably of all the people in the world who develop TB, probably around 10 or 12% of them are children. But of all the people in the world who die from TB, probably about 16% of them are children. And yet we also know that children who are diagnosed and access treatment early do much better than adults. In fact, they almost always are cured of their TB. And so really this gap where the mortality burden in children is almost higher than in adults is really largely around access to diagnosis early and access to treatment early.
What's going to be extremely important is to translate this evidence into practical operational field guidance. And part of the work which our centre is leading is an atlas for looking at how chest x-rays and their use can be translated into the field.
It's very important that we come up with new diagnostic tests, but also that we use the tests that we have better and we build confidence in healthcare workers to diagnose TB and to start treatment.
It has to happen anyway, and it should have been happening. But I must say the treatment for children, TB and HIV, has been lagging behind that of adults. So I think the SHINE results is an opportunity to catapult us into supporting treatment of children with TB.
And I think that's where the SHINE trial helped, because it showed us that across these very different countries across the world, clinicians could diagnose TB and they could get children onto treatment, and the children did well.
The majority of children have a milder form of TB anyway, and if you catch that at that mild stage and then treat for 4 months, then you're going to be successful.